3 brutal spiritual habits that are destroying your future right now. Shocking truth revealed. The sky shattered in shades of crimson as Jenny stumbled into the foggy alleyway, her heart racing with every step. She had heard whispers about the old church that loomed ahead, shrouded in mystery and dark rumors. People said it held secrets, ancient powers, and that a twisted ritual took place within its decaying walls, rituals capable of unraveling the very fabric of one's future. She couldn't ignore the magnetic pull it had over her. It was as if the air crackled with energy, a low hum of fear and excitement coiling around her throat like a serpent. Every Sunday, townsfolk would flock to the church, but they left changed. Eyes glazed over, smiles too wide, as if they'd witnessed something horrific yet exhilarating. Was it divine? Or was there a sinister darkness at play? Jenny had to know. The smell of damp would hit her, mingling with an unsettling scent, the lingering aroma of burnt sage. Footsteps echoed behind her, almost taunting, daring her to press onward. She swallowed hard, feeling the lump in her throat. She was terrified, yet a part of her craved the unknown. Committing to her decision, she dared to step forward, the heavy door creaking open like a mouth of shadows, ready to swallow her whole. Inside, dim candles flickered, casting erratic light that danced across the cold stone walls. Each whisper carried the weight of 1,000 secrets, and she couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were watching her from every corner of the darkened hall. What dark truth awaited her? Suddenly, a hiss broke the silence. It was a voice, low and gravelly. "You shouldn't be here." The words clawed at her sanity. Had someone been waiting in the darkness? Panic surged through her veins, but something deeper compelled her to stay, to unravel the threads of the spiritual web that clung tightly to the town. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Jenny's heart pounded as she sensed the presence behind her, thick with an unfamiliar tension. She wondered if others had walked this path and faced the consequences. Would she too be ensnared by the same fate? Shadows flickered, the air grew thick, and she felt the pulse of ancient energy coursing through the very floor beneath her. As much as she wanted to flee, something heavier stood in her way, an irresistible pull, a question begging to be answered. And what about the others? What had they exchanged in return for whatever dark power they had sought? In that church, beneath the glimmer of candlelight and echoing whispers, Jenny realized she stood before a door with choices unseen, a path both thrilling and terrifying. What waited for her on the other side? As the voice echoed once more, a cold sweat rolled down her spine. The truth was out there, but at what cost? The dim light flickered ominously, revealing flashes of shadows darting around her, twisting and turning as if alive. Jenny's breath became shallow, fear opting for a tight grip around her chest. "Who is there?" She dared to whisper, but the words felt swallowed by the dark, as if the very church walls absorbed her sound, mocking her courage. "Leave." The voice hissed again, sharper this time, like a dagger slicing through her resolve. She felt like a moth drawn to the flame, her instincts screamed to run. Yet, her curiosity held her firmly in place. Who was warning her? What dark secrets were they trying to protect her from? The atmosphere thickened, almost tangible, wrapping around her like a shroud, as the flickering candlelight revealed a twisted figure lurking in the corner. Jenny squinted, squaring her shoulders against the fear clawing at her. The figure stepped forward into the light, revealing a gaunt, hollow-eyed man, his skin pale and stretched tight across his skull. "You mustn't." His voice trailed off into a raspy cough. She couldn't tear her gaze away. Something primal churned within her, an urge to flee, and yet she was rooted in place. "What do you want?" She finally managed to blurt out, her voice trembling. He staggered forward, his breath coming in jagged gasps. "They want to consume you." His eyes darted around, panic coursing through him. "They're here, waiting for someone pure, someone who hasn't yet surrendered." The weight of his words sank in, and panic clawed its way back into her gut. Surrendered? A shiver traced her spine as she thought of the townsfolk, their wide smiles and vacant stares. Were they puppets bound by this twisted power? What do you mean by consumed? She barely asked, her voice hoarse before he could respond. A gust of wind swept through the church, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into utter darkness. Heart racing, she felt her way back, searching for the door. She heard whispers swirling around her, menacing and insistent like a swarm of angry bees. "Join us, relinquish your soul," the words hissed into her ear, chilling her to the core as she stumbled blindly. She could feel the edges of reality blurring, every ounce of her fight now aligned with survival. The pressure built within her, an unbearable urge to scream. She pivoted, desperate for the dim light again. "I want to let you take me," she shouted, her voice breaking through the suffocating silence. Suddenly, a flick of light sparked to life once more, an otherworldly glimmer at the altar. It danced rhythmically, beckoning like a siren's song. Despite every instinct urging her to flee, Jenny felt the pull again, stronger now, as though something deep inside her remembered its connection to this strange energy. The shadowy figure shrieked, "Don't go near it. You risk everything. They will bleed you dry." Every breath felt heavier as she strained to comprehend the danger and the bizarre allure of that light. She edged closer, drawn by an invisible tether. With each step, she heard whispers growing nearer, a cacophony of voices overlapping, urging, threatening, promising. But just as she reached the altar, the whisper surged and shattered into a scream, halting her in her tracks. Darkness enveloped her, a tug of war between light and shadows. What was waiting for her at the altar? And could she truly resist the call of the darkness that had ensnared so many before her? Jenny felt a force latching onto her mind, and the weight of countless souls pressed heavily on her. In that moment, the floor beneath her trembled, a hollow thud echoing through the air. What would she sacrifice to break the chains of this dark destiny? Or would she too become another lost soul, consumed by the ancient power within? The shadows whispered eagerly, and Jenny prepared to face her fate. The floor quaked violently, and Jenny's heart raced as the whispers morphed into an insatiable roar, demanding her attention. She could feel the walls closing in, the cold creeping into her bones. "No!" she screamed, pulling back, but it felt as if the very air was thickening, wrapping her in chains that anchored her to the ground. The light at the altar pulsed, brighter now, illuminating the hollow-eyed man who staggered behind her. His figure darkened under the sudden brilliance, and his face was twisted in terror. "You must make a choice," he rasped, the urgency of his warning tearing through the chaos. "Once you step into that light, there's no turning back." Jenny looked between the pulsating light and the man's fear-riddled face. Choice. What choice was there when both paths led to doom? Yet something deep within her, the desperate yearning for answers, for clarity, urged her to move closer to that enchanting glow. With every inch she inched toward the altar, the shadows roared louder, their whispers a malicious chorus. "Give in to the light. Embrace your destiny." The words gnawed at her mind, dulling her senses and igniting a primal instinct to submit. "No," she gritted her teeth, summoning strength she didn't know she had. She staggered back from the altar, her breath coming in short gasps. Images of the townsfolk flooded her mind, their smiling faces, their eyes void of life like a dream turned nightmare. What had they sacrificed to remain untouched by the darkness? What awaited her inside that burning light? As if in answer, the tremors intensified, vibrating the very core of the church. The flickering light shattered momentarily, plunging her into blackness again. Panic seized her, the fear that gripped her heart deepened, and her legs trembled beneath her. "What do they want from me?" she shouted, the words barely escaping her throat as she pushed against an overwhelming urge to flee. "Life," came the disembodied voice, echoing from the desolate corners. "They crave life, youth, purity. You must decide before it's too late." Jenny felt the gaunt man's south presence close behind her. "You can't let them take you," he urged, fear threading through his words. They were like a lifeline thrown into dark waters, a chance at salvation. In that moment she caught her breath, the weight of desperation becoming unbearable. "What will happen if I go into the light?" she asked, her voice slipping into a whisper as she steadied her gaze on the radiance flickering at the altar, almost shaping itself into a doorway. The man gasped, stumbling forward. "You will lose your essence, your very soul. There's nothing but suffering on the other side." His warning resonated painfully within her. Impulsively, she took a step backward. The wall shook violently again, angered by her hesitation, and the altar light flared, casting jagged shadows that clawed at her. As she steadied herself, the floor seemed to crack beneath her, the sounds of anguish sounding from the depths below. They felt personal. Voices, twisted and sorrowful, echoed her name. "Jenny, join us, be free enough," she bellowed, slamming her palms against her ears, drowning out the cacophony. Attuned to the struggle inside her, she weighed her frantic heartbeat against the demands for surrender. Then, out of the chaos, a thought emerged, a grim but liberating possibility. What if I don't choose either? The thought ignited a flicker of defiance in her chest, enough to forge a flicker of hope amid the despair. The man's eyes widened, his fear giving way to something else. Possibility? Then find the truth. Only by facing it can you stand against them. Jenny's heartbeat quickened, her breaths catching in her throat. Reality twisted, the shadows and light blurring, reality stretching like rubber. What awaited her if she defied fate itself? Did she have the strength to navigate the unknown? The church trembled in telling silence, the air thick with tension, an impending storm that would either free her or consume her entirely. And as she prepared herself for a choice like none she'd ever faced, the whispers begged anew. Could she withstand whatever lay ahead? The ground trembled beneath her feet, an ominous growl echoing throughout the church as Jenny clenched her fists, pushing against the encroaching dread. The light still flickered, its radiance warping the space around her, creating a hypnotic dance that clawed at her resolve. "I want to be a pawn," she yelled, casting her gaze around the church, desperate to reclaim control. The whispers intensified, swirling into a maddening symphony of lost souls, urging her to give in. Just then, a shiver raced down her spine as she noticed a hidden alcove obscured by shadows, half concealed behind the altar. It pulsed with a dim glow, unlike the blinding light beckoning from the main altar. Curiosity sparked, igniting a defiance in her chest. What if that alcove held the answers she needed? The hollow-eyed man staggered towards her, hands outstretched as if he could grasp hold of her spirit. "Don't stray from the light, Jenny. It's your only chance." The panic in his voice surged, racing through her like electric current. But the shadows whispered something different, their voices a soft entreaty wrapping around her mind. "Freedom lies in truth. Step away from the fabricated light." She hesitated, weighing his words against the relentless choir of shadows. A sharp pain throbbed in her chest. Was the light a trap? Was the fear of the unknown anchored by the townsfolk's silent sacrifice, all serving a darkness they refused to acknowledge? With determination, she pivoted and charged toward the alcove, the air thickening like smoke around her as the ground beneath her shook more violently. The voices rose to a shriek, their intensity blurring into white noise. "Jenny! No!" The man's cry shattered the chaos, but she pressed on, mere inches from the alcove's entrance. Cold air enveloped her like a shroud as she stepped inside. The light from the main altar dimmed instantly, swallowed by the darkness. Here the flicker of the alcove pulsed steadily, a heartbeat, reassuring yet foreboding. What lay further inside? She hesitated, hands trembling as she pushed deeper into the shadows. The space was cramped, lined with rough stone walls. Images flickered like flames before her eyes. They were memories, filled with familiar faces and a sense of community. But there was something wrong. The warmth of nostalgia felt tainted, like a lie gestating in the hearts of those she loved. "Jenny," a voice whispered from the shadows. "We need you." Her breath quickened, panic coursing through her again. "Who are you?" she gasped, scrambling backward until the cold, unyielding wall pressed against her back. The source of the voice emerged, a figure cloaked in shadow yet illuminated with flickering accents of gold. "Remember us, Jenny. The truth exists here, and when you uncover it, you will understand their hatred and fear and your own power." As the figure stepped into the faint light, recognition ripped through her, racking her with disbelief. It was someone she once knew, someone she thought was lost forever. Emotion surged within her, hope, anguish, confusion all colliding into an overwhelming wave. "Why did you leave me?" she cried, feeling tears build in her eyes. The ghostly figure held up a hand, urging her to listen. It was the only way, they whispered, their voice a ghost of a memory. "You have to accept the darkness within you to wield your strength. Only then can you save us all." Jenny's heart shattered within her chest, understanding dawning slowly. The truth she was dying to unravel didn't just require knowledge, it demanded a reckoning with that truth. Turning back would mean abandoning everyone who had sacrificed everything, and stepping into the blinding light felt like surrendering her very soul. Jenny, the mystery surrounding the voice deepened the essence of her past, refusing to fade away. She felt a surge of strength, a pulse of raw energy igniting within. But what awaited her outside? Where would this journey take her if she embraced the darkness she feared? And with a new resolve, she took a deep breath, preparing to face the choice that might shatter everything. She thought she knew once and for all, but then, the ground cracked beneath her, spilling the secrets of the past into the present, and she could only wonder. Was this the beginning or the end? The fissure spread beneath Jenny, a dark chasm erupting from the earth like a monster waking from its slumber. She stumbled, heart racing, and was drawn back into the faint light of the alcove. The unseen energies of the church roared, rising to a deafening crescendo. It felt as if the air itself was charged with a fearsome intensity, a living thing wanting to make its presence known. "Stay with me, Jenny," the cloaked figure called, eyes aflame with a passion that almost seared her soul. "You must confront what you've hidden away. There's more at stake than you know." She felt her pulse quicken, fear circling her thoughts like wolves hunting their prey. There was power in this shadowed alcove, a sense of clarity among the chaos. The shadows whispered, curling into her ears, and she shut her eyes against the pull. Could she trust the dark? The hollow-eyed man's voice pierced through the uproar, each syllable etched with desperation. "You can't fight what you don't understand. The light is safety, Jenny. Don't let it go." Panic surged. But wasn't safety what had led her here? What if the light she sought was nothing but a deceptive facade, hiding the ugliness beneath? A surge of rage bubbled up inside her, erasing her fear. "I need to know. I'll take the risk," she shouted, cutting through the din. In that moment the cracks widened, revealing what lay beneath a tangle of roots and ancient symbols. Words swam into view, haunting her with their dreadful importance. They described a pact, a burden her town had carried for generations, comfort achieved through grim sacrifice. "Understand who you are," the figure insisted, reaching deeper into the hollow of the alcove. The shadows twisted, showcasing visions of the townsfolk, faces twisted in anguish, some in tears. They chanted, fingers stained with blood, as they brought forth offerings to something unseen lurking in the depths of their community's past. "Why?" she cried, pain morphing into fury. "Why would they do this?" "To keep their world intact," it whispered, enveloping her in a cloak of certainty. "But now they will pay if you do not embrace your fate." Suddenly the ground quaked again, violently this time, shaking the alcove as if it were about to collapse. The pulsating light fought back, issuing a call that resonated deep within her. Jenny pressed the heel of her hand against the wall, anchoring herself. "I can't lose them," she yelled. "I want tea." She couldn't abandon those who placed their trust in her, even if that trust had been built on layers of deception. An image flared before her eyes, her mother's face, the warmth of a home now dimmed by shadows. The truth clawed at her heart. "No more," she whispered, the words echoing like a vow. "I'll expose the truth, no matter the cost." From behind her the shadows surged forward, a tempest of grief and rage that roared like a storm. "What is happening?" she gasped, glancing back as the light fought violently against the encroaching darkness. "Embrace it, Jenny. Only through acceptance will you harness your true strength," the figure called, grounding her. As the shadows swelled, they coalesced into a form, swirling around her, their whispers now an urgent murmur of history desperately trying to break free. With a flash, she saw the chamber filled with entities trapped in their hauntings, the souls of those lost to the past. Time seemed to stand still. A whirlpool of emotion twisted inside her. Fear, anger, and a resolute determination. The threads of fate danced around her, urging her to act. Then behind it all, a new sound emerged. One that carried an unsettling chill, a low, raspy laughter that echoed the unease in her chest. "Decide quickly, Jenny. Your time runs out." Every heartbeat pulsed to a drum within her, urging her forward while silence loomed ahead. There, shrouded in tension, lay her choice. What awaited her if she allowed the darkness within? But one thing was clear: the truth mattered. And the choice she made next would propel her soul into either liberation or doom. Was she ready to face the wrath of what she might unleash? The shadows tightened their grip around Jenny, swirling like a tempest desperate to reclaim their secrets. She could feel the weight of their past pressing in on her, suffocating yet intoxicating. The air crackled with raw energy as it coursed through her veins, urging her to see beyond the veil of fear. "Jenny," the cloaked figure's voice was a beacon amid the chaos. "Let the darkness reveal your path. You'll find strength in your hidden heritage." Hidden. That word echoed back to her, an accusation against a past she had always tried to outrun. Gritting her teeth, she steadied herself. "What does it mean? What do I have to embrace?" Suddenly the shadows shifted, pulling back like the tide retreating from the shore. In their wake, visions surged forth the town, alive with vitality in days of old. Laughter, music, celebration. But looming over it all was a dark cloud of dread, festering at the edges, whispering secrets that the townsfolk could never quite silence. Jenny felt her breath hitch. Memories flooded her mind, fragments of tales her mother had told her. Stories of choices made for the sake of survival. But she had never realized the depth of those sacrifices. The hollow-eyed man stepped closer, the shadows trembling with his movements. "You are a part of this, Jenny. Your lineage binds you to their fate. Only by understanding can you free yourself in them." She was struck by a wave of nausea. "But what did it cost? What did we give up?" "Everything," he replied, voice a raspy whisper that chilled her core. "Your ancestors chose. They fed the darkness to sustain the light. All that you know is built on their sacrifice." The laughter returned in an echoing chorus, rhythmic and derisive, taunting her resolve. The ground rumbled again, this time with anticipation. Closing her eyes, Jenny focused. She had come too far to hesitate. The truth felt close. It beckoned her like a lover. "Then I'll confront the darkness," she declared, voice trembling but resolute. "I'll expose this lie and make them pay for what they've hidden." A sudden rush of adrenaline smoothed her resolve. "Do you truly understand the chain you would break?" the figure asked, doubt creeping into his tone. "What if your freedom unleashes a rage deeper than you can imagine? Then we'll face it together," she shouted, fear igniting a fire within. The eldritch eyes of the shadows seemed to pulsate with a strange understanding, and for a brief moment, she felt unity both with the lost souls and her own desires as that warmth spread. The darkness receded slightly, revealing a gruesome altar hidden within the alcove, stained with remnants of past offerings. Jenny's stomach twisted in disgust. What is that?" she gasped, stumbling backward. "That," the cloaked figure replied mournfully, "is the heart of their sacrifice. Touch it, and you touch the pain of every soul that has suffered for this facade." Her fingers hovered above the altar, flames flickering around the edges. Could she dare? A chill settled over her as she reached down, breath caught in her throat. "Make your choice, Jenny," the figure urged, intensity rising in the very air around them. "Accept your past or deny your power." For a moment all she heard was the pounding in her chest, drowning out the chaos of the past and future. A choice waited before her, steeped in danger yet tinged with the hope of revelation. Suddenly the air shifted and darkness surged, pulling her in. "Let the truth break you free." It felt like a multitude of voices descending upon her, echoing through her very being, and then, everything turned black. The laughter faded, replaced by silence as she fell into the void. What awaited her on the other side? Would she awaken to a nightmare or a chance to rewrite the past? Jenny had only begun to discover the depths of what she would face when the dawn broke. Jenny's mind scrambled as darkness enveloped her. The silence was deafening, pressing on her from all sides like 1,000 hands grasping for her sanity. She struggled against it, feeling the weight of her pulse quicken, a mad metronome marking her increasing dread. Suddenly a spark ignited in her heart. Light pierced through the void, splitting the heavy shroud and casting flickering shadows. She found herself in a misty grove, each breeze whispering secrets just beyond her comprehension. Faces emerged from the haze, familiar yet foreign, her ancestors weaving in and out like lost dreams. Their expressions were solemn, burdened with the weight of things unsaid. From the crowd, one figure stepped forward. An older woman with silvered hair and eyes like storm clouds. "Jenny, my dear," she said softly, voice like silk soaked in cinnamon. "You've arrived. But you cannot run from who you are." "Who am I?" Jenny's voice trembled, confusion and anger swirling inside her like a tempest. "What do you want from me?" The woman's expression softened. We want you to understand. The darkness you seek to confront is not merely an enemy, it is a part of you. Embracing it is your only option to save not just our souls but your own. Before Jenny could reply, shadows lunged from the edges of the grove, a cacophony of howling voices merging with the cries of the ancestors. They surrounded her, faces twisted with rage and sorrow. You have yet to choose. They shrieked in a chorus of despair. You can't flee. Her breath quickened, the shadows clawing at her with fingers cold as ice. No, I won't give in, she yelled, clutching her heart as she felt the power stir within her, the ancestral strength igniting her resolve. A burst of energy rippled out, pushing back against the darkness. The spirits began to coalesce around her, merging into one radiant figure, all that pain morphing into a single entity. The silver-haired woman transformed, her essence rising like smoke and crystal, illuminating the grove with blinding light. You're not alone, Jenny. Let our strength guide you. In that moment clarity struck. Jenny's fear gave way to determination. I accept, she whispered, forming the words with a conviction she'd never known. I accept my heritage. I accept the darkness. The shadows receded, retreating like a tide pulled by the moon. The grove expanded, becoming vibrant and alive with blossoms and energy that hummed through the air. But in the glory of this rebirth, a new menace emerged, an ominous figure cloaked in a void more profound than the night itself. Foolish child, it hissed, voice like gravel. You think acceptance will shield you? The darkness craves a reckoning. You have unleashed it, and it won't go quietly. Jenny's heart raced as the air thickened, reminding her of the altar's chilling remnants. What do you mean? She shouted, the challenge igniting her spirit. I'm not afraid. Oh, but you should be, the figure sneered, creeping closer, tendrils of darkness weaving through the air like living snakes. Your choice has awakened forces beyond your wildest fears. And they are hungry for vengeance. At that moment, Jenny felt every heartbeat of the town, the lives intertwined with hers. Each flicker of warmth reminded her of the love, loss, and price of her legacy. I won't back down, she asserted, gripping the energy of the grove, the spirits whispering encouragement. Whatever comes, I will confront it. The figure lunged at her, shadows swirling like a storm about to break. Just as the darkness reached out to consume her, everything erupted into blinding light. And then silence once more. Jenny blinked, finding herself lying on the altar, still in the cavern. The echoes of voices began to fade, replaced by a distant cacophony. She was still not free, but something had shifted within her. She could feel it, the pulse of energy, the connection of her past intertwined with the present. She had awakened part of her legacy. But at what cost? The shadows still hunted. What lay ahead for Jenny in her quest? Would she be strong enough to wield the power she had embraced, or would the darkness claim her? Jenny sat up, heart pounding, limbs heavy with uncertainty. The cavern felt more alive now, buzzed with the remnants of the power she had just faced. She could still taste the metallic chill of the shadows, and every dark whisper seemed to cling to the damp stone walls. In the thickening silence, she could almost hear a heartbeat deep and primal, resonating through the very earth beneath her. Uncertain, she pushed herself to her feet, swaying slightly as she tried to gather her thoughts. The high arch of the cavern loomed above her, shadows racing along the walls like 1,000 memories refusing to fade. Think, Jenny. What do I do next? She muttered to herself, her voice echoing softly against the dampness of the stone. She had this deep-seated feeling that the confrontation was only the beginning. An unsettling truth clawed at her mind. The altar felt cold beneath her fingers as she moved away, and she hesitated, looking back. What if the darkness returned? What if it was just biding its time, waiting for her to drop her guard? Suddenly she heard it faint, rhythmic drumming. It pulsed like a warning deep within the cavern, drawing her toward an archway she had not noticed before, hidden behind thick vines that hung like curtains. Mustering her courage, she pushed through. The path was narrow, lined with stones worn smooth over centuries. The further she went, the louder the drumming became, merging with another sound, screaming, whispers. The words were unmistakable yet lost, their meanings twisted by time. Come back. It's not over. A voice echoed from deep inside, almost melodic, yet tinged with desperation. A chill shot down her spine, Whoever or whatever was calling reached out to her like a soft breeze turning into a storm. Her heart raced as she reached a cavern wider than the last, illuminated by an otherworldly glow. Crystal formations jutted from the ground like teeth, and at the center stood a figure, masked and cloaked like the looming presence she had confronted before. "You shouldn't have come, you need to leave," it said, voice layered with urgency, cold and guttural. A surge of fear gripped Jenny, but as she took a step back, something pulled her forward. "No," she shouted, defiance roaring through her. "I'm not afraid of you. I've accepted my heritage. I'm ready. Acceptance is just the beginning." The figure hissed, stepping closer. Shadows writhed around it, slithering like snakes eager to strike. "But it comes with a price, Jenny. You will face your past. You will face the darkness you think you control." Jenny's pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" "I've chosen to embrace it." The figure laughed, a sound sharp and cutting. "You think choice will save you? They will come for you. The darkness is a lover and enemy demanding devotion and offering betrayal. Are you willing to pay the toll?" "What's the toll?" she pressed, dread pooling in her stomach. The figure pointed a gnarled finger toward the center of the cavern, where a shimmering crystal pulsed with energy. Inside the crystal, fragmented images danced, faces, places, the love she had lost, memories that ached and soothed. "Your past wants to reclaim you, Jenny. To fight that, you must give something precious. Are you willing to sacrifice?" Confusion twisted within her, tightening like a noose. Sacrifice? What could she lose when she defaced so much? She opened her mouth, blood roaring in her ears. "What if I refuse?" The clattering of rocks echoed ominously. "Then you will lose everything." The weight of the choice pressed on her. The shadows swirled, snapping at her edges. Jenny's breath quickened. Did she have any choice at all as silence descended, thick and suffocating? Just then the crystal exploded with energy, casting her in blinding light. The world spun and darkness roared back, leaving only her pulse in her ears. What would she choose in this unbearable moment? Would she stand and fight for her legacy? Or would she crumble under the weight of her own shadows? The air crackled with tension as the ground trembled beneath her feet. The light enveloped Jenny, blinding and warm at first, but soon it turned inexplicably cold, as if the warmth were just the fading breath of hope before an impending storm. She shielded her eyes, heart racing, pulse a thundering drum in her ears. The sounds, the drumming, the whispers intensified, merging into a cacophony that vibrated in her bones. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the light disappeared. Jenny blinked against the sudden darkness, finding herself standing on what felt like solid ground. However, the ground was no longer the smooth stone of the cavern. It was gritty, rough, with patches of black sand beneath her feet. Gradually, shapes started to emerge from the density of the shadows. Figures began to form, indistinct at first but growing sharper, more defined. They were faces she knew, twisted in various expressions: horror, regret, anger. Memories ripped from her past screamed in silent agony, coiling around her like an insidious fog. "No!" she cried, stepping back as the shadows pressed in closer. "Get away from me!" But they were not just shadows, they were her own ghosts. The parts of her she had tried to bury. Friends she'd lost, family estranged, choices regretted. Each face felt like a knife to her heart, accusing her, reminding her of what she had done wrong. "Face us, Jenny. You can't hide anymore," a voice called out, unmistakably her own. It was a whisper twisted by anguish. "You brought us here." "No, I didn't mean to," she shouted, desperate. "I'm fighting for my future." The spirit seemed to ripple with laughter, but it was a hollow sound, devoid of joy. "Your future is built on our ruins," they mocked. "You can't move forward without facing us. We haven't finished with you." Slick fear curled around her stomach as she recoiled. How could she confront what she had tried so hard to forget? They were the regrets she couldn't shake off, the dreams she shattered, the toll she would have to pay. As the cloaked figure had warned, the ground beneath her trembled, shaking the phantoms of her past. With that, the relentless drumming resumed, matching the rhythm of her own heart, steady, insistent, demanding. As the shadows surrounding the figures began to swirl, they morphed into a more tangible form. A monstrous silhouette loomed over her, shrouded in darkness. It flicked the edges of the figures like a predator, hungrily ringing around her fear. "What do you want from me?" Jenny cried out, her voice cracking, tears prickling her eyes. Accept your darkness, the shadow growled, its voice deep and resonant, an echo of the cloaked figure. Only then can you break free. Your choice will ripple through time. But what choice is left? She whispered, trembling with dread. With that, the shadow lunged forward, and she staggered back, every instinct telling her to flee. But she couldn't run. She had to decide: embrace this darkness or drown in her past. Sacrifice something precious, she whispered to herself, replaying the words of the figure. It echoed in her mind, twisting her thoughts. She thought of her past, her present. What mattered most? Gulping back her fear, she summoned her voice. I'll face you. I will not let you control me. But as those words left her lips, the ground shook violently. The world became an uproar of darkness, spinning, swirling. A piercing scream cut through the noise, and Jenny's heart dropped as she recognized it, her own voice, mixed with the cries of her ghosts. As she teetered on the brink of the abyss, wondering what awaited her, a dreadful sensation skittered down her spine. Was she truly ready to confront all that she had lost and face her deepest fears? Or would she be consumed by the very shadows she sought to leave behind? With a shattering crash, the cavern trembled as if waiting for her next move. The shadows howled around Jenny, swirling with a palpable hunger, an embrace of despair and regret that clawed at her heart. Every ghost flickered in and out, their faces glimmering with pain as much as they demanded recognition. This was her reckoning, her moment to confront everything she had buried. Sacrifice something precious echoed in her mind. What did that mean? In the depths of her panic, clarity sparked. It wasn't just about what she had lost. It was about what she needed to reclaim her connection to those she loved, the strength of her identity, even her vulnerability itself. Memories of laughter, warm and comforting, surged through her mind. But also the pain of loss hung heavy. If it meant healing, she had to face it. Taking a deep breath, Jenny shouted through the chaos, I'll face my past. I'm ready to embrace the darkness within if it means saving who I love. The air thickened as shadows lunged forward, a tide of darkness crashing against the light she summoned with conviction. Yet, just before it consumed her, the shimmering figures of her ancestors appeared beside her, radiant with strength. Their voices melded into a harmonious chorus. You have the power to choose, Jenny. Stand firm. With renewed courage, she summoned the anguish dwelling deep, allowing it to wash over her like a wave, letting the tears flow freely. I acknowledge my fears, my regrets. I embrace my heritage, my past, every piece of light and shadow. As she spoke, she felt the darkness shift its grip. It was no longer just a monster to be feared, but a part of a larger tapestry that included her family's history, and the town's legacy. Suddenly, the cavern rumbled, the ground shaking beneath her. The monstrous shadow that had threatened to consume her morphed, a grotesque reflection of her pain mingled with undeniable strength, born from her acceptance. What are you? She questioned, her voice unsteady but unwavering. I am your darkest fears, its voice responded, low and resonant, and your greatest power. I am the memories you wish to forget. I will not run from you, she cried, arms outstretched, feeling part of her ancestry surge through her veins. I accept you. With that declaration, light erupted from her core, fluorescent and transcendent, illuminating the cavern. The shadows recoiled, the haunting faces shimmering momentarily before resolving with clarity, no longer twisted with despair. There among them she caught sight of her mother, alive and vibrant with a soft smile. Jenny, her mother spoke, voice gentle yet overpowering. You have the strength to break the cycle. Face the past and you will rewrite your future. Without being asked, the figures stepped forward, melding into an expansive wave that pulsed with warmth. They were afraid, yes, but they stood fiercely alongside her. The shadow loomed again, more terrifying than ever, growling, you cannot escape your fate. You will suffer. But clarity lit Jenny's heart aflame. You are not my fate. You are a part of me, but you do not define me. With every word she spoke, power surged forth. Then, without hesitation, she pressed her hand against the dark figure before her, a surge of energy binding them. The wave of light reflected back through the cavern, utterly obliterating the shadowy form that had tormented her. Everything around her vibrated with electricity, shattering the remnants of darkness. The cavern echoed with balances restored, the spirits released, the whispers quieted. In their place, a tranquil calm blanketed Jenny, flowing like the warmest embrace. When the echoes subsided, she found herself alone in the now bright chamber, a soft light illuminating the stone walls. She took a deep breath, still coursing with the energy of her ancestors. "Is it really over?" she whispered to the surrounding emptiness. But she felt it resonate back through her. It wasn't just ended. It was a beginning, a chance to reclaim and redefine her legacy, her power. She had slain the ghosts and confronted the darkness within. With renewed strength, Jenny stepped forward and made her way up through the fissures of the cavern, knowing her future was a path forged from the truth she had faced. The thin rays of sunlight sliced through the cracks, illuminating her as she reached the surface. Every step felt lighter, clearer. She had transgressed darkness and emerged transformed. The town awaited her, and she was ready to share her truth, ready to break the cycles that had held them captive. As she emerged, an echo of laughter rang through the air that felt like the whisper of the past guiding her steps into the dawning light. She was Jenny, conqueror of shadows, keeper of both light and dark, and now, nothing would hold her back. If you're reading this, don't let the journey end here. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel, be part of the community that keeps unfolding these extraordinary stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support for the next thrilling tale. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about Jenny's epic ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the magic and embrace the darkness together.